Hello, middle school violins. My name is Mr. Silvestri. I am the orchestra director at Wando High School. Today I'm going to lead you through the first Regent Orchestra audition excerpt for next fall. And I'm going to start by performing it for you, and then I'll kind of walk you through measure by measure and give you some advice on fingerings and articulation and bowings and all of that. And at the very end, I'll perform it all the way through playing the bottom part. So if you want to practice along, you can do that as well. So let's start with the performance. Your tempo marked is 120, which is this. So pretty quick, and your key of E flat major is the challenge here. So here is your first excerpt. I took a little liberty at the end and did a little ritardando. I don't think the judges will mind. All right, so the first thing for this excerpt is that even though it's an E flat major, we don't actually ever go up to that high E flat. So I'm going to start by introducing the third position finger pattern on the A and E string here in our key of E flat major. So on the A string, I want you to find first finger D in third position. So your finger pattern here on the A string is going to be this. You're going to have 1 and 2 as your half step, and then whole steps between 2 and 3 and 3 and 4. So if you have D, half step to E flat, whole step to F natural, and a whole step to G. So together it'd be D, E flat, F, and G. And this is the hard part, is when you go to the E string without any accidentals, you have all whole steps with the first finger on A flat, which is kind of strange. So if on the A string, your first finger is on D, when you go to the E string for your first note, that A flat is going to be a half step back towards the scroll. So that's the tricky part. So let's build up on the A string again first. Here's your D, E flat, F, G. And then to find the A flat, my finger pattern is going to stay exactly the same, except I move my first finger back to A flat. So your A flat on the E string is your A flat, whole step to B flat, whole step to C, and a whole step to D. And you should want to hear that E flat, even though you don't have to play it. So again, your finger pattern on the E string is A flat, first finger, whole step to B flat, whole step to C, and whole step to D. So that's the tricky part about this finger pattern, is that A flat's going to want to be low. But sometimes if you take a look in your music at the very last note right here of measure 5, as well as over here measure 7, you sometimes have A natural accidentals that changes your finger pattern. So let's try that finger pattern. So on the E string, play first finger A natural. That's third position. Half step to B flat, whole step to C, and whole step to D. So those are your different finger patterns in third position as you go through this. So let's walk through measure 1 and 2 together. So you start in third position on that second finger E flat, and you have that same finger pattern we talked about with the 1 and 2. And then the hardest part of these first 2 measures is getting that very last note, which is right here, that A flat. So if I were you and I had this printed out, I would put a flat on that note, or put a low 1, because that's going to be a note that's going to be kind of out of our normal pattern. Like I said, we don't play in flat keys as much, so I'd put a nice low 1 there to make that in tune. So let's do bars 1 and 2. There's your E flat. Ready, super slow. 3 and 4 and. 3 and 4 and 1 and we'll stop there. The other thing to watch out here is your bowing. You have slur, separate, and you want to notice too that you also have tenutos on those separate notes. So if you look right here on the up down in that first bar, and then the G to A flat, you have those lines, which means really connected. So you want to make sure those are nice and long. So again, here's bars 1 and 2. Think about that finger pattern. And what I do to make this change here, this is a really high level thing, but if you guys are auditioning for Region, that's definitely where you are, is that before I play that A flat, I make sure that I leave my G down. So I'll get a little closer to the camera real quick. So if I play that first bar, Notice that while I'm playing my A flat, that first finger, my G is still down. That'll help make that connection a little smoother and also help with your intonation. All right, let's do bars 1 and 2 one more time. Ready? 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and. Very nice. And then in bar 3, notice that you are tied across the bar for that B flat. Then there's another down bow with a tenuto on that A flat. So what I take that to mean as a violinist is that it's going to be a connected A flat. We want it nice and long, but I'm going to put just a slight pause in my bow. So if I start on that long B flat, right on measure 2, it would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and. So I'm going to put a slight pause in my bow, but that A flat is going to be really long and connected. And then another thing you want to look out for in here in bar 3 is that is going to be, again, that A flat, that low 1 right here. But then leave it down while you're playing that F. So if I'm going A flat, F, A flat, imagine if you're playing that double stop, and that'll help make that connection really smooth. And then looking ahead to bar 4, they have you pivoting back just a half step. So if I play A flat, low 1, and bar 4, you go to second position. So first finger goes on the G, and then it'd be first finger is on G. Again, this is bar 4. The second finger A flat's going to be right next to it. Whole step to B flat, back to first finger G, and then your E flat would be third finger on the A string. Now, normally in these excerpts, I see there's a little kind of instruction at the very top that says, something like you can't change the fingerings or bowings. But here I don't see that. So if you want, and if you talk to your teacher, whether it's your orchestra teacher or your private teacher, instead of doing the second position here, you could go back to first position and a second finger, and then go back to third. Either one. For right now, I'm going to do what's in the part, but if you want to talk to your private teacher or your orchestra teacher, you could change that. But for right now, I will do what is in the music. Let's do the first 4 bars together. So let's see if we can make that happen. Ready? Go from the beginning. Ready? 3 and 4 and. 3 and 4 and 1 and. Second. 1, 2, 3, 1, 3. And then for the next bar, if I end what's printed on that third finger E flat, I'm going to replace the 3 with the 2 and go back to third position. So if you look here at bar 4, this looks a lot like bars 1 and 2, except we have that A natural at the end. So when we get to bar 5 and 6, really make sure that first finger on the E string goes back to A natural and not A flat. Let's see if we can play from bar 5 all the way to bar 8 right here. Ready? So here's bar 5 on that E flat where you replace 3 and 4 and. Natural. 3 and 4 and 1 and C. Very nice. And other couple things to point out. So this bowing here in bar 7, same thing we talked about way back here in bar 3. Just a little pause in the bow and then a really long C. And then you are going to stay in third position all the way through bar 7 and 8. So if you wanted to write in your fingerings here, the C is going to be a third finger. The A natural would be a first finger. Your F right here would be a third finger on the A string, right across from where your C was. And then when you go back to this bar in bar 8, it's 2, 3, 4, 3, 2. Again, your B flat, third finger C, fourth finger D, back to C, B flat. So you get from there. Let's try that one more time. So here is bar 5 through bar 8. Ready? 3 and 4 and. 3 and 4 and 1 and. And 4 and. Very nice. All right, and then the next part, we're going to go back to first position here. This is bar 9. You're going to go to first position, and this is a strange finger pattern as well. So it's kind of our normal, 2-3 finger pattern, except it's all going to be a half step back from what we, quote, normally think. So before we do that, let's establish that finger pattern. So on the E string, play a low 1 F natural, then a whole step, the second finger G natural. And this is the one that's a little unusual, I'll say, is your half step to third finger A flat, and then a whole step to B flat. So all together it'd be F, G, A flat, and B flat. So if you're looking at bar 9, 9 and 10 are all going to be first position with that finger pattern. Let's try just bars 9 and 10, starting on that third finger A flat. Ready? 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and. Very nice, good. And then for that next part, after that long G where we just stopped, you're going to shift back to third position on that B flat. So you shift up after your second finger G, you shift to second finger B flat, and you stay there. You go to the A string for fourth finger G, second finger E flat right across from where your B flat was, and then you stay there for the bar 12, which would be F, E flat, D, E flat, F. And then the very beginning part here, I would kind of talk you through it, and then we'll kind of go through these last few bars a little quicker. Bar 13 to the end. This part here is exactly, or pretty much similar to the beginning, not exactly the same, but that same finger pattern. Don't forget your A flat when we get to bar 13. And then we have, again, that same thing up here on the E string. So when we get to these last 4 bars, that goes way back to that first finger pattern we talked about, where you have this on the A string with 1 and 2 touching. Then on the E string, you move that first finger back to A flat and go from there. But before we jump there, let's go back and do bar 9, 10, 11, and 12 together. So we're going to start back to bar 9 on the A flat. Ready? 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and shift. 2, 4, 2, 3, 2. Very nice. And then right after that 3 in bar 12, you go back to first position. So in bar 13 and 14 right here, you go back to first position. Again, on the A string, you're going to have 3 and 4 touching. So your third finger is your normal third finger D, but then you have low 4, E flat right next to it. And then as you get to the E string, so you have E flat, D, E flat, low 1 F natural, G, back to low 4, E flat, F, G, half step to A flat. So if I were you again, especially as you're just starting, I would put a flat on that, or a low 3 on that A flat right here in bar 14, because that's the one note that we might be tempted to play as a natural. Let's play those 2 bars together. Here's bar 13 and 14 with your, you might find your D, and then your E flat is right next to it. Ready? Here's bar 13 and 14. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and. Then we would shift for the next bar. Let's try those 2 again though. Here's 13 and 14, 3 and 4 and. And then my fault, I looked away. Here it is again. Here's 13 and 14. Very nice. And your last 2 bars, you go to third position with those same 2 finger patterns from the beginning. So your last 2 bars, you start on that second finger B flat. Here it is. Ready? 3 and 4 and. Again, the really tricky part about that last measure is going to be that A flat to G connection. That's a really tricky. Everyone find that first finger A flat. Then I want you to silently, this is going to be the key to playing this really well in tune. So you have your A flat down on the E string, but on the A string, put down your second finger E flat, so it's a whole step away. Then put down your whole step to F and your whole step to G. So now I want you to practice going from A flat, first finger, to fourth finger G. If you can make that connection, that'll make those last 2 bars really smooth. And you won't hear that kind of awkward finger pattern, I'll call it. So again, that leaving that A flat down until you hear the G will really help that be better in tune and a lot smoother. Here are the last 2 bars again. Very nice. All right, if you want to play through the whole thing, let's do, before we do it, I'm going to do 2 more things and I'll let you go. Let's play through the whole excerpt, their top line, slowly. So if you noticed, when I performed it at the beginning, I talked about our tempo as being 120, and then working through it, I've been going a lot slower. So once you get really comfortable with that left hand, you can speed up your tempo. So let's do it 2 more times. We're going to play it through all the way at a slow tempo, and then I'll go back to our fast tempo and play the bottom line if you want to practice along. All right, here's from the very beginning, finding that E flat. This is under tempo. Ready? 3 and 4 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 3 and 4 and Very nice. And I had to do a wrong bowing those last 2 bars. I apologize. So just watch your bowing there. All right, now let's go and I will play that lower divisi part. This is just for practice. You don't have to learn this line. I'm going to play it so that if you want to practice, once you get it learned, if you want to practice with that, it'd be something to do. So here is our tempo. This is 120. So your part would be ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da-ba-ba, pretty quick. All right, so here is the lower part. You can play along with the top part when you are ready. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. All right, very nice, guys. Good luck with your auditions. If you have any help, I'm sure your orchestra teachers can answer, and I'm also happy to help however I can. So feel free to reach out to me via email. You can find my contact on the Wanda Orchestra website. If you just Google Wanda Orchestra, you'll find our website and you can contact me that way. And good luck, and it was a pleasure working with you today. Thank you, guys.